Nearly 3/4 of American households now can't afford a typical new home, and yet prices keep hovering near record highs. Last year, just 4 million homes sold, and those transactions effectively decided the number everyone pays. The secret is this: in housing, the rare buyer willing to pay the most, often cash-rich and undeterred by rising rates, sets the national price, not the millions left out. How does that work, and what does it mean if almost no one can compete? Every home sale in America leaves a mark on the market, but not every household gets a say in what that mark is. The price everyone talks about, the one that shows up in headlines and neighborhood gossip, is set by the buyer who actually closes the deal, not by the millions who want to buy, but walk away. In real estate, this person is called the marginal buyer. Their willingness and ability to pay, often a step above the rest, becomes the reference point for the next sale. Imagine a street where one house finally sells after months of quiet. The buyer stretches to meet the asking price, maybe sweetening the offer with cash or waiving contingencies. That single transaction now becomes the comparable, or comp, for the next appraisal. Lenders, agents, and even neighbors look to that number when deciding what another home is worth. The process repeats, with each new sale echoing the last, even if the majority of hopeful buyers cannot match the price. This system means that prices do not reflect the average person's budget. They reflect the highest price someone in the current market is able and willing to pay. When headlines say prices are up, they report the outcome of a handful of deals made by buyers who for whatever reason could afford to stay in the game. The millions who cannot buy do not pull prices down. Instead, the market orbits around those rare, determined buyers whose offers set the pace for everyone else. In 2025, just over 4 million existing homes are expected to sell across the entire United States, a pace not seen since the mid-1990s. That is a tiny fraction compared to the number of households who want to buy but cannot. Yet even with so few sales, the prices those deals set remain stubbornly high. The Case-Shiller Home Price Index reached 328.442 in October 2025, up only about 1.36% from the year before. On the surface, it looks like prices are still inching upward, but the story changes when you factor in inflation. Consumer prices measured by CPIU climbed 2.7% over the same period. In simple terms, the cost of everything else is rising faster than home prices themselves. This gap between nominal and real price growth is easy to miss. When people hear that home prices are up, they feel the squeeze, but the reality is more complicated. The price level, what it actually takes to buy a home, remains high even as the rate of increase slows. For buyers, that means the pain does not go away just because prices are not skyrocketing. In fact, when home values rise more slowly than inflation, the purchasing power of a dollar in real estate actually shrinks, even if the headline numbers suggest stability or modest gains. The market's slow churn keeps these high prices locked in. With so few homes changing hands, each sale carries extra weight. The limited number of transactions is enough to hold prices near their peak, even as most would-be buyers find themselves priced out. High prices persist, not because everyone can pay them, but because the handful of deals that do close keep the bar set high. At the heart of the housing market's stubborn price tag is a simple math problem. There just aren't enough homes for sale. As of December 2025, about 1.18 million homes sit on the market nationwide. That might sound like plenty, until you look at how quickly those listings move. At the current sales pace, the entire supply would be gone in just 3.3 months, a figure experts call months of supply. In a balanced market, that number would be closer to 6. Instead, the country is locked in a scarcity zone, where buyers compete for a shrinking pool of options and small changes in demand barely make a dent in prices. But this is not just a temporary squeeze. Freddie Mac estimates the United States is short by roughly 3.7 million homes, a deficit built up over years of underbuilding. After the 2008 crash, home construction slowed to a crawl and never fully recovered. Builders ran into higher costs, tighter lending, and local zoning that made it tough to add new homes, especially affordable ones. Even as demand rebounded, the pipeline of new listings lagged far behind. This chronic shortage means that even when fewer buyers are in the market, prices rarely tumble. There simply are not enough homes to go around, so every new listing draws outsized attention. The mechanics of supply and demand keep prices aloft, not because everyone can pay, but because there is always someone willing and able to stretch. Until the backlog of needed homes is filled, scarcity remains the rule, not the exception. More than half of American homeowners now hold mortgages with interest rates at or below 4%. Nearly 7 in 10 are locked in at 5% or less. For these owners, the numbers tell a simple story. Selling their home means trading a low-rate loan for a new mortgage at today's higher rates, currently averaging 6.06% for a 30-year fixed mortgage. That switch comes with a heavy price. The typical household would see their monthly payment jump by about $1,000, even if they bought a similar home at the current median price. This payment shock is not just a line on a spreadsheet. For many families, it is a wall. The math makes moving up, downsizing, or relocating for a new job far less appealing. Unless life forces their hand, a divorce, a new baby, or a job transfer, most homeowners choose to stay put, even if their home no longer fits their needs. As a result, listings dry up, and the already tight supply gets even tighter. The stress is not limited to sellers. For buyers, the combination of high prices and high rates means the typical family now spends about 36% of their income just to cover the mortgage on a median new home. That is well above the traditional 30% comfort line. People do not buy home prices, they buy monthly payments. As long as rates remain elevated, even stable prices can feel out of reach. The market becomes a waiting game, with millions of owners sitting on the sidelines, unwilling or unable to move. The pool of buyers still active in today's market looks very different from years past. According to the National Association of Realtors, only 21% of home buyers in 2025 are first-timers, while repeat buyers make up the remaining 79%. Among those repeat buyers, nearly a third are paying all cash, a share that has grown as high mortgage rates push out anyone who cannot bring equity to the table. In fact, about 26% of all home purchases last year closed without a mortgage at all. Investors are a significant part of this group too. They accounted for roughly 17% of all home sales in the third quarter of 2025, and in the single-family segment, that share rises to 34%. Depending on how you define an investor. This skewed mix means most buyers setting prices are not as sensitive to borrowing costs. They are leveraging equity, cash, or investment capital, so the market's price setters are often insulated from the payment shock facing everyone else. Shelter costs keep climbing, with the Bureau of Labor Statistics reporting a 3.2% rise over the past year. Rents are up nearly 3%, and the cost of owning a home, measured as owner's equivalent rent, has jumped 3.4%. Yet for all the headlines about empty homes, the census shows just 1.2% of owner-occupied units are vacant, a level that leaves little slack in the system. Rental vacancies sit at 7.1%. In this environment, even a small rise in home prices, just $1,000, can push out 115,000 households. A quarter-point hike in mortgage rates at these levels can price out more than 1 million. The market perches on a cliff where scarcity and rising costs mean demand can collapse, but prices rarely do. Today, just a fraction of buyers, often wealthier, cash-ready, or locked into past equity, hold sway over prices while millions stand outside the market. As supply stays tight and affordability slips further, the rules of who gets to buy keep shifting. The new American housing reality is this: exclusion by design.